Hello, Lesley. Thank you very much for joining me today. How are you?
I'm very well, and it's my absolute pleasure to join you.
I'm very excited for this one, Lesley, because you do not only hypnotherapy, but you do physical therapy, but you do a different type of hypnotherapy that I've not heard of until a few days ago. So, can we jump straight in with that? Because I feel like it's really quite exciting.
Okay, so I've been a clinical hypnotherapist for 5 years, but I think one of the biggest things I came across was that people would always say, "Are you going to make me cluck like a chicken?" Like this. And it's because most people associate hypnosis, hypnotherapy with the likes of Paul McKenna, who would have
Yeah.
people doing strange things on stage. But hypnotherapy, when it's in a therapeutic session, is very different.
Mm.
But because of that, I've learned a style of hypnotherapy that doesn't involve you going into trance. So you are just sitting there like we are, having a conversation. But what happens is the way I structure it, we get the subconscious mind where all change happens to make an appearance and talk to us. And sometimes it can be through person's own speech, but usually I get them to use their fingers, and people are like, "Oh God, that's weird. How comes my
Oh,
fingers?"
interesting.
It's amazing. And so I start with that all the time now because people feel more relaxed, they feel in control, and I just gently walk them through the process, and they actually see the change taking place.
Yeah. So some people that come to see you will come for hypnotherapy for like trauma-based
Mhm.
healing and all sorts of things. So actually, if you've got to put your trust in somebody else that is obviously a therapist, that perhaps you don't have you've come for a problem where you
Yeah.
you don't want to give your trust over like that. You don't
Mm.
feel safe, you don't feel secure saying, well, that's fine, I'll just sit here, you do what you want with my mind, because people think it's mind control as well,
It
don't
is,
they?
yeah, that's what they think. But again, films, movie, all that kind of thing contribute to that.
Yeah.
So if that's been your only exposure, you are going to be skeptical, scared even. So with this process, it's very much a collaboration. Yes, I can. If you want to go into trance, I can do that. But I
Yeah.
think people quite enjoy seeing the change happen and
Yeah.
just feeling it almost happen, because it literally is quite instantaneous. So I find that people are much more receptive to it. In fact, they're actually quite curious about it. Oh, how
Yeah,
are
I
you going
must
to
admit.
change me without zoning me out?
Yeah.
But it's nothing like that. We just have a chat, and obviously I structure the sessions so that we get to the root of the problem. Now, it can be completely content free. You don't need to tell me why. So, for example, people might come to me because they eat too much. Oh,
Yeah.
I eat in the evening, even though I've just had a big dinner. Yeah, I'm, half hour later, I'm going to the cupboard. Well, that's not a problem. That's a symptom of a problem.
Ah.
Just like having a bit too much drink in the evening, or too frequently, or gambling, or any kind of addiction, or anything like anxiety. That's just an emotion that is a symptom of whatever the root problem is. So you don't need to tell me, oh, something horrific happened to me in my childhood. I don't need to know that, because your body knows it. Your subconscious mind knows it. I don't need to know it. In fact, you may not even know what it was that traumatized you or is making you behave in a way that you don't want to, because your body and your subconscious mind know exactly what it is. So I can bypass being told all that information by just talking to the part of you that has the issue.
So really then, I mean, that is so helpful then, isn't it? Because
Mm.
some people don't want to talk about it, do they? Some people are not ready to speak to anybody about what the issue is. Some people are obviously stuck in the trauma, but other people, especially if it's an addiction, are quite ashamed of what
Yeah.
you know, of their behavior. So if they don't have to come and say to you, well, look, it started when I was 15, this happened, that happened, other happened. If you, like you say, if you can bypass all that and actually just start working on fixing the problem, then that's amazing.
Absolutely. So they come with their symptoms. Oh, I eat too much, or I drink too much, or, you know, I'm scared to go up high buildings or something like that. But most of these behaviors, these programs, these habits, whatever, they all began in childhood. Majority of the time, they would have begun in childhood, when we were just emotional sponges and then releasing emotion. We didn't have a cognitive mind until much later in childhood. So it was basically we were emotion led, you know, we felt everything and we responded likewise. So I always talk about, it's because you got a toddler running your life, because all your programs were designed or taken on board when you were a child, you know, and you were learning behaviors from parents or aunts and uncles or grandparents or childcare providers, or even going into schools, or, you know, or anything like that. Anybody who we looked up to, who were authority to us, we would take on board what they were saying. But it might not actually work for us, you know, just because they're older than us or were seen as teachers doesn't mean that it was right. But you know, or we've learned behaviors from our parents. You know, parents used to do everything by shouting at each other. You know, that kind of thing. So our programming starts when we're very young, and it carries on through our lives, adjusting slightly. So let me give you an example. So one of the insights I will give is like the baby's dummy. When we were a child, baby, toddler, whatever, to pacify us, it got shoved in our mouth. You know, if we needed soothing, the dummy came out, or a blankie, whatever it was for you. And so to soothe ourselves, the dummy got sucked on. So if you kind of transfer that to adult life, well, we're not going to walk around with a dummy in our mouth, and probably not carrying an old blanket. So what replaces it? Maybe food. Maybe a nice glass of wine. Oh, I deserve this. I've had a stressful day. But that's just your way of coping with it. It's not gone, give me my dummy. It's gone, give me the wine, you know.
With the Chardonnay,
so that's how your childhood program manifests as an adult. So that's how
interesting is that?
So we need to talk to that toddler with the dummy, and kind of, or that part of you that still craves the dummy to be soothed, to be comforted, to be rewarded, whatever, we need to talk to that part and say, look, it worked back then, but it's not really helping us now. Can we change this program? And it is negotiation with your subconscious mind, because it's done a brilliant job, it thinks, of protecting you, keeping you safe all this time. Why should it suddenly change?
That's it. And I think the inner child has got a lot to answer for, hasn't it?
Absolutely.
A massive amount of problems go straight back to your inner child.
It is. It's all about your inner child, the majority of the time. It's all about your inner child. What behaviors, what responses it had emotionally to whatever was going on at that time. We look at it now as adults and go, oh, don't be silly. It couldn't be that, you know, don't be silly. But we're looking at it from an adult point of view, when we've got education and experience and wisdom, hopefully, not that 3-year-old that was petrified of something.
I must admit, when I do my soul retrieval, obviously when we have any sort of trauma in our life, we lose parts of our soul and it stays there until we retrieve it and until it's ready to come back. And I say to people that come for it doing, to us now, we might see a lot of things that happen to us as a kid as not any sort of trauma. So I give an example of, like, it can be something like when you go and try to speak to your mum and she's on the phone and she's busy and she tells you to shush or go away because I'm busy. As a 3-year-old child, like you say, it's like it cuts part of your voice off because it's like, well, I wanted to speak. I wanted to tell you something. So then you grow up then learning to not speak out, not say things that you want. Perhaps you're not going to be heard. But now as an adult, when you're 40-year-old, you go, well, my mum was just busy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Life was busy. She would try to make tea. She were on phone. So we find a way of going, but it's all right. And actually, it's really not.
Yeah.
It's something as simple as that can trigger off a massive chain of events.
I mean, from personal experience, you told me I need to be seen. I need to be telling people this. That's what I got from my reading from you. But as a child, I was told to stop showing off. Because I'd be singing at the top of my voice or doing windmills as I was singing, and I was be like, stop showing off, stop showing off. So for me, I grew up with that programming of like, stop putting yourself out there, stop shining. Stop shining, which is dreadful. But your parents, all they wanted was a bit of peace and quiet for 5 minutes. But you didn't, you know, that's not how I interpreted it at the time. So, of course, you know, for me to suddenly step out, I'm very much comfortable with people I know and everything. But do you know what? Once I realized that, once my subconscious mind, my little crew member down in my subconscious mind got that was, it's okay to show what you do. You know, why wouldn't you? You're helping people.
Exactly, why wouldn't you?
So you know, that's the sort of thing. So I call that sort of imposter monster, the imposter syndrome, where you just don't think you're good enough because somewhere along the line your programming has said, be quiet, you know, stop showing off, that kind of thing. So it's so relevant to so many people because we'll either self-sabotage ourselves or we'll just stay hidden. And people, everybody has got something to shine about.
I find people really interesting. So even people that don't think they're interesting, I'm like, oh yeah, did you? They'll tell me about that. And they go, well, it's just this. And I'm like, it's not though. I'm right nosy. I love it. I'm right interested. But so you know, when people come to you, obviously everybody must be receptive in different ways. So some people might not be as receptive as others. So there obviously isn't a set program like, right, well, within 3 sessions, I'll have you fixed.
No.
Do you find that it takes a long time, or can you look at people and go, do you know what, I can fix that in a breath?
Yeah. So I never assume anything because, like you said, everybody's completely different. We're all unique souls. We really are. So I do a free 1 hour consultation of 1 hour. And I don't shorten it down going, oh, yeah, I can help with that. I can help with that. I don't want to do that. I want that person to get to know me because I'm going to be working with their subconscious. And their subconscious mind is powerful and it's looking as if to say, nope, you're not going to come in and try and change me. So I want the subconscious mind as well as the conscious mind of the person who's coming, you know, the one who's booked the appointment and is listening to me. I want them to feel completely comfortable with me. And I want to know, you know, that this person is ready, calling it being at threshold. They say they want to change, but do they really? You know, that kind of thing. So I don't want to waste their time or money. But I do give, it's usually at least an hour where we chat. I do ask some questions, you know, like your medication, you know, just so I know what's going on. Absolutely, and, you know, do you want to tell me about why you're here? Or just anything that might just give me some insight to what's going on so I can then work out how I'm going to do the sessions. Now, the sessions after that, if we agree to work together, if we feel there's a really good collaboration, because I don't just go in and fix you, it's a complete partnership. So you have got to be prepared to participate. So if we agree to carry on and you come for your first session, that is usually where the main change takes place, in that first session. But we are asking the subconscious mind to change its programming.
And you know, and it's for years and years.
And I must say, I do notice that people who come to me tend to be sort of past 40, you know, because it's taken them so long to go, enough, I need this sorted, you know. So, you know, their subconscious mind has maybe been protecting them for 45 years doing this program. And now I'm coming in and saying, okay, well, you've heard her say that this is going on and that's going on, and it's really quite disruptive for her. And how about we change it? I'm paraphrasing here.
No, I know.
And so I work with the subconscious mind. So I want it to know what I'm there to do. And usually I give it the time to understand what's happening. And in that first session, we make the change. And I literally, when the subconscious is ready, I literally go 3, 2, 1, clap my hands, because I can't click my fingers, clap my hands, and I say, make the change. And then I ask it, have you made that change? And it will tell me yes. I've yet to have one say no, but I'm sure if it did, I would then answer its objection as to why it didn't make the change. But usually we've answered those to get to that stage.
Yeah.
And then we go away, and usually the first session and the second session I like to do within a week or so of each of them, just so that I can go in and ask the subconscious mind, that member of the crew that is looking after that particular behavior, what are you happy? Are you happy with this new way of working? And if the subconscious sees its person, happier, calmer, looking forward to life and what can bring, it's going to say yes. Your subconscious mind there just wants the best for you. It's just sometimes its version of the best and our version of the best isn't always compatible. So so that's all we're doing. And then the third session, which I usually set up 2, 3, maybe even longer weeks later, is just to mop up anything,
So you'd have about 3 sessions.
3 sessions usually. I will say that when I've worked with some very traumatic early life, and I'm talking like the worst kind of stuff that you would want, and these people over time grew to trust me and they wanted me to know, then it could take a little bit longer, but it just depends on how many different parts of you we've got to help. Because we're made up. I use an analogy of our mind is a ship. Our conscious mind, the ones that's chatting now and makes a list for shopping, our conscious mind, our logical mind, okay, that's the captain of our ship. But the crew of the ship is your subconscious mind, and they're the ones working underneath, doing all the work. They're doing all the work. And they're doing it mainly on automatic pilot, if you like. So if they have got some programming from childhood, before the captain came on board around 8 years old, if they've already assigned their jobs, no, this is how we're going to respond to spiders, or this is how we're going to respond to the nighttime or whatever, we need to go in and find those little crew members and bring them out and say, look, it doesn't have to be this way. There are other ways of dealing with this so that you can have a fulfilling life rather than one that's stuck back there, and sometimes not even knowing why you're stuck there, because your subconscious mind has suppressed it.
That's it. Some people have such a deep-rooted trauma that they forgot what I said. They forgot that they don't remember, do they?
No, it's pushed so far down.
I know sometimes when I've done some healings, people say, I know something was wrong, I know something isn't right, but what it is, I don't know.
And the other thing I like with conscious, sort of non-trance hypnotherapy, is that if you haven't got a skillful hypnotherapist, there are times when people don't know what happened, that false memories can be put in place. With this, you're just chatting, you're just talking. I can't put any false memories. I mean, it would take somebody not very skilled at all to do that, but it has been known. So you have to be careful when you're dealing with traumatic cases. And I have got sort of a lot of PTSD training as well. I mean, up to combat veteran level. So
really?
but and I do take people into a more relaxed hypnotic state than dealing with this. But saying that, I have done, you know, child sex abuse and everything with this method, and it's worked brilliantly.
Has it really?
Oh my word. You know, I remember when I first did the work and I wanted to do some case studies, I had, you know, I thought, let's keep it, let's, you know, the people who are going to volunteer are going to, oh, I'm frightened of spiders or heights, or, or I'm a bit anxious, or I am anxious. And I got two that were just horrendous. You know, oh my word. And I thought, no, the case study is on this method. And I did them, and they both were amazingly transformed. It was just beautiful and so joyful to see that they can now go forward without all the constant fears and the wrenching in the stomach and all of that. You know, it was just blew me away. And that's what I love about this, is you never know what you're going to get, because people come in for one thing, but they actually need help with something completely totally different. Yeah.
Now, how rewarding is that, though? How rewarding is that actually somebody's lived with a trauma for, like you said, over 40 years sometimes, over 50 years.
60 years even, yeah.
And actually, you know, people get to a point where they don't want to talk about things, or they feel they can't, or, you know, if they go to doctors, they're given a tablet, well, there's something wrong with you then, you know, and actually, if they can come and see somebody like you and don't actually have to have a massive conversation about it, and you can still help, well, that must be massively rewarding.
Absolutely. Sometimes I wish I didn't have bills to pay, because I would do it for nothing.
Great,
it's so annoying when you've got to pay bills. But yeah, and I have, you know, I have chats with my own GP where I say, don't get me started on anxiety, and you know, she says, oh, it's the only offer we can make is tablets. It's the only thing we can really do. And I was sort of saying, send them to me.
That's the thing.
Because it should be another option. But I remember when I was doing the PTSD training, you know, there are predispositions to having PTSD that were brought about, or, you know, literally listed in the Second World War. Okay.
Really?
In 1941, this list came out of, don't bring these people into war, these men into wars, because they are gonna get PTSD.
Really?
And you know, and I found it something on the NHS in 2018, nearly 100 years later, they brought out the same list. You know, it's not, I'm not saying, you know, the NHS is limited in financing and things like that, but things that were known years ago.
Yeah.
Hypnotherapy was what helped people with shell shock from World War One.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, that's how long ago. I mean, there was a hypnotist. He was a surgeon. It's called Esdale. He used to put his patients in a cataleptic state, so they couldn't feel anything, and he would do surgery on them. He would take them down so deep into hypnosis that he could do surgery on them. Never. It's called the Esdale state, and basically you can get somebody's, you know, sitting on one butt cheek with all their limbs in the air because they would be in catalepsy. It's incredibly how powerful the mind is.
That's amazing, but frightening at the same time, isn't
Absolutely. Absolutely. So when it's taken out of context, or you don't hear the whole story, it can be like, oh my word. But on the other hand, I'm like, wow, fancy having your leg amputated and not feeling a thing, you know.
What's that about?
Yeah, you know, back in the wars and that. So, you know, it's got a rich history of helping people, and yet we've just brought it right up to date. The fundamentals remain the same in hypnotherapy. There's just different methods of doing it. You know, and each hypnotherapist you go to will be different, but at the heart of it, you've got to make the change on the subconscious level, because that's where all your patterns are, your beliefs, your programming, your habits, your behaviors, even your thought processes. When you get on that hamster wheel going round and round and round and round and round, it's all starting. in your subconscious mind.
So do you know, you've set me off on a train of thought now. I once watched a film, and within this film, I can't remember what it was called. Within this film, this girl had brought her then boyfriend home to mum and dad's house. And the mum hypnotised the boyfriend by stirring a tea. Yeah. So it was a spoon hitting the sound of the cup round the outside. And she could then go in and make him believe that it was somebody else. Now, I don't ever think that I'd go see a therapist and that would happen. But can things like that happen? If you can make somebody believe that, well, I said, but it's not a belief, is it? If you can make somebody feel so much at rest that the mind doesn't feel pain.
Yeah. So with this, I tend not to watch any films that have hypnotherapy in, because it drives me mad. No.
Yeah, well, I do with like Ouija boards and ghosts.
Exactly. Yeah, it just drives me mad. I mean, yes, there was some work done by some government agencies, I'm not saying Britain, but, you know, overseas, where but powerful drugs were used with them. Right. I don't profess to know anything about them. You'd have to do your own research, but just even if you came to me and I put you in a trance, if you did not want to do what I suggested, you would not do it.
Right.
Okay. So if I said to you, if you came into me, let's go back to that old, will you make me cluck like a chicken? Yeah, if that's what you want to achieve, you will. Yeah. But if you don't want to achieve that, of course you won't. You've got to remember, when people go up on stage, they've been primed. It's not just come up and somebody goes sleep and you do that. They've been primed beforehand. You wouldn't have seen that. But when people go up on stage, they're looking to have a fun time. They're looking to make idiots of themselves and see what they can do. I mean, I'm an excellent stage candidate to go up on stage and be, I speak fluent Chinese under hypnosis. It doesn't mean anything, but I am, you know, there's in one of the academies I was in, I was that, because I am very susceptible to stage hypnosis. And I was game for a laugh. I felt in a safe space. So I was hypnotized to talk Chinese. And the more people laughed, the more angry I got, you know? So it can be done, but I was up for that. If I wasn't, I wouldn't have done it.
So, yeah, so if you're a silent audience and you're thinking, well, they better not bloody pick me because I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that.
You wouldn't do it then.
It wouldn't happen. So
even if your mate pushed you up on stage, you wouldn't do it, because you are not, you've got to be a participant. You've got to be a participant. Okay. There's no point, and no decent human being would make you do something you didn't want to do anyway. But they wouldn't, because your mind is stronger. It would take over. So that's why when, you know, people say to me, would you make me cluck like a chicken? Well, if that's what you want to do, I will. But if you just want me to randomly do it, no, I can't, because it's not what you want.
That's interesting. That's quite reassuring, that.
Well, yeah, you are stronger. If you don't want to do anything, you won't do it. And that's why I have an hour's consultation. Yes. At least an hour, because I want to make sure that somebody is ready to change. Because they say, oh, I'm fed up of this, I'm fed up of this. But hey, does it get them out of doing this? Does it get them out of doing that? Yeah. Well, do they really want to stop all that, you know? So that's what I need to check, because they're wasting their time and money otherwise.
Do you know, earlier on, just to go back a little bit, earlier on when you said about sometimes there's false memories put there, do you mean by ourselves?
So not necessarily by ourselves, or something we think of. So I had a client come to me and said, I don't know if I was abused when I was a child. Yeah. Can you tell me? And I said, no, I'm not going to go there, because even if she's got that going in her head. Yeah. And so even if she wasn't, that is now circulating. And then I'm going to go in and she's going to be in a trance or whatever. And I'm going to start reinforcing that or talking about that. So it becomes more real. That's how I mean about doing that. I mean, there's other, you know, if somebody wants to, oh, I can't remember what I put my keys, or, you know, to the something I haven't opened in 15 years, that's different. You can go in and try and help them retrieve the memory. That I would do. I would not be comfortable going in and asking somebody to do it. I would, you know, did I kill my dog or anything? I wouldn't do that, you know, that kind of thing. It's just not something I would do. There may be people out there, but I don't think there would be, not anybody who was looking to help people.
Yeah, that's it. If you're doing it for the right reason, the right intention, you're where you should be
If
at.
they came to me with that, I would be looking at, why do they feel like this? What's the emotion? What have they attached it to? And let's call up that little crew member down in the subconscious mind and find out what's going on. Why are you running this feeling? Why are you running this program? And deal with that.
So how did you get into hypnotherapy then? What took you down this line? Where does all this come from?
Okay, so I was in corporate world years ago. I was in corporate world 15 odd years ago, and I worked in HR. So I saw both sides, the employee side and the employer side. And I must say that the last 2 or 3 years of my career, I was angry. I was just permanently angry. I sat in circle to help me with that. I was angry because I saw unfairness. I saw people abusing systems. I just didn't like it. And it was quite a toxic environment. And to be honest, I just felt my soul slipping away from me. So I thought, I've got to do something different. I've got to just retrain. And you know, I was in my 40s. So it was like, you know, what am I going to do? Starting again. But when I was sitting in circle, I enjoyed the healing side of it, putting my hands on. So I thought, let's do something with that. So I went into massage. And from that, I went in, I learned the Emmet technique, which is a fantastic way of helping people with pain and restrictive movement. So for quite a while, I've been doing just helping people in pain, restrictive movement, getting back their mobility, all of that. All the things where you get given a sheet at the hospital from the physio saying, do these things with your arm. And you're going, how can I can't move my arm. So I would help them move their arm so they could do all the exercises and things like that. So that's what I have been doing. And then, of course, the pandemic hit. And the first lockdown, I couldn't work because it's close. I work close contact. And I know the pandemic was awful for some people, but for me, it gave me an opportunity. First of all, I'm very much a sunshine person, and we instantly had summer, didn't we, in that first lockdown? But something started appearing on my Facebook, and I had no idea why, but it was hypnotherapy for chronic pain. And I thought, now that makes sense to me, because for years I'm seeing people thinking, this isn't physical, this is an emotional entrapment there. So when I saw that, I did the master class. It was a 6-week course, and then I did the full certified course, and I loved it and I wanted more. So I did another course. And whereas before you would probably get to do this every week or two, in lockdown, I could do it all day, every day. Because I had nothing else to do. So I just absorbed everything I could, hypnotherapy. And then even when lockdown was over, I carried on learning. I studied with an international hypnotherapy academy, which is, if not the best, one of the best in the world. Certainly the hardest exam I've ever done. But, you know, it was really, but so insightful. So I did that. And then I did some PTSD training with hypnotherapy. And then I did this non-trance hypnotherapy. So I literally sort of migrated into it, if you want, from initially linking the two together, pain and you know, emotional pain, and using hypnotherapy to help people like that. So I still do my physical side of it. I still treat people, and I love that. I love getting my hands on somebody, but all the time I'm talking to them as well. So I don't use hypnotherapy, but I use the positive structure of it to help people. And then, you know, I haven't done really any advertising. Everything for me has been word of mouth. But then somebody came along and said, you need to be seen.
Deal with that.
So I said, okay, all right. She's, you know, because when I was telling you about it, you were like, I've never heard of this. You've got to tell people.
Yeah.
So now I want to get it out there. And also being self-employed, you don't get a great pension. So I'm never giving up work. And as it goes on, it would be just nice to chat to people over Zoom, or if they're local to me, to pop in and see me. But, you know, I can do this over Zoom, and I can do this for the rest of my life and help people, you know.
So, right. So let me so this can be done over Zoom. So you can be hypnotized over Zoom. So like you say, because you're just having a conversation, aren't you? You're just having
I do even trance hypnotherapy. I can do over Zoom.
Over Zoom.
As long as the person's in a safe position where they're not gonna, you know, fall or anything. But you know, I can do hypnotherapy anywhere. After COVID, a lot of people lost their sense of taste and smell, didn't they? And I remember being out with a group of friends, and one of my friends was saying, oh, I can't even taste this. And I said, why not? He said, oh, bloody COVID, you know, all the usual stuff. So I said, okay. So I literally, the whole thing from start to finish was 7 minutes, because we were in a restaurant. It was noisy. There was plates clanking and cutlery, you know, chinking and everything. And I literally reconnected his sense of smell and taste in
just like that.
Yeah. So you don't need to be relaxed to do hypnotherapy. It's quite a nice byproduct if you are quite a stressed person, to be nice and relaxed for a change. But I can do it in a restaurant with the loudest din going on, restoring somebody's taste and smell, you know. That's how versatile it is. But it's all because I got him into that state of trusting this can work. And he was open to it because he wanted to smell and taste food again. And that's what happened.
He's willing, he's wanting that, isn't he? So that works.
Yeah. So he was receptive. I, you know, did my little bit of work with him. And 7 minutes later, he was tasting his food.
So, do you know, when we talk about pain then, so from what you've said then, really, you could cure illness through the brain.
I don't ever talk about cure. I can try to help you.
Help them with.
Yes. So for this is a very controversial area, but fibromyalgia, people usually diagnosed with that as the last thing on the list it can be, because every other test has, it's a coverall because they don't know.
My husband's got polymyalgia, and they basically say, well, you've got some of this, you've got a bit of that, you know, not really sure if it is, but, you know, that's what we put it down to. Yeah.
So I, with sort of, this hasn't been, I haven't done anybody with fibromyalgia actually with the non-trance, but with sort of doing a very much of a relaxed trancey style hypnotherapy. I have gone into and sort of talked about their pain as being trapped emotion. Trapped emotion. A lot of pain is just trapped emotion, and it's basically your body saying, will you deal with whatever it is, or I'm going to keep slapping you about until you do. And so things get worse and worse and worse until you address what's real, the real issue is. And a lot of people, you know, and again, it becomes an identity to them. I've got fibromyalgia, or I've got this, I've got ME, I've got whatever, because it gives them a sense of, oh, finally somebody's told me. But they're not going to get better from it unless they start exploring why have they got it.
Problem. Yeah,
because like I said, doctors give you, it's like IBS, you get given that when they've ruled out 1,500 other stomach issues. Again, emotional.
You see, I have every so often, it's getting more and more actually. I've been doing my inner child healing, or, you know, working to, well, I've been doing some inner child healing, I'm up to about age sort of 15, 16 at minute, 17-ish. And when I have done a session, if you like, I'm finding that my back goes out. Now, I know that that's my root chakra. It's where I hold trauma. I know that's exactly what it is. If I get like a painful memory that I'm trying to work through, I start with sciatica. It's my piriformis. It's a trapped this. It's a bulging disc. It's been everything apart from nothing that they can find out that's wrong with it. But I go see osteopath and physio and all that. Now, I did a meditation where a owl brought me a red part and they told me that it was a mother wound and they brought me it back. And I know fine well that I've still got some inner child healing to do, because inner child was up to you being 21, doesn't it? So I know there's still some there to do. So I feel like I might just have a little hypnotherapy session, perhaps. And we might be able to get this just squashed once and for all, might we?
Yeah. Can have a talk to your crew, see who comes forward and says, it's me. But until it finds, until it thinks you can deal with whatever better than it can, then you know, that's why we negotiate, that's why we talk, that's why, you know, when I use the dummy example, that's a great insight for the subconscious mind. It works in metaphor, it works in imagery, it works great in imagination. You know, that's how you communicate with it. You give it stories, you give it something to follow, an image, a metaphor, and then it latches onto that and it understands better. Because otherwise we'd all be going, right, stop that, I don't want to eat chocolate anymore, and expect it to happen. No, it doesn't work like that. You know, willpower on its own is not gonna just do it. It might work if it's not such a big hold on you, but a lot of time people have done, you know, for somebody who is eating too much and wants to stop, and you can ask them anything about how to lose weight and they will be able to tell you everything. And my concern is now with these jabs. Ooh, don't get me started on them. And the danger. No, the jabs are like Manjaro and all those. Don't get me started on those, because we really don't know what we're doing to our bodies. You know, so I'd rather people address their relationship with the food rather than just have their hunger, their appetite suppressed, and then be a slave to that drug. You know, so yeah, you do need to work at it. It's not hard work, but I will say you've got to show up and you've got to be prepared. You don't have to tell me everything. You might sort of say, oh, I drink when I'm stressed. That's as far as you want to go. If I say, oh, what kind of stress? And if you think, well, I'm not going to tell you that my husband hits me or something, I'm not going to tell you something like that. That's fine. You don't have to, because guess what? That little crew member that's running your program, protecting you, knows exactly why. And I will just ask for it to step forward and ask it if it wants to change. But in our conversations, we would have hopefully start to make it feel as if we do have an answer.
So do you find, though, if people come to you and they say, right, I've got a problem with, let's say, drink, right? I'm drinking too much. I'm drinking 5 nights out of 7, blah, blah, blah. I know it started because I don't drink 5 nights out of 7, I'm saying, but my parents were functioning alcoholics, actually, as it goes. But so that to me would be a learned behaviour. That's quite normal in my house. We always have a drink. And my mum and dad used to say things like, and it actually makes me go like that now, it makes me like wince nearly. And they go, do you know, I've worked all week and I deserve a drink.
Yeah,
but you deserve a drink on Monday when you've worked on Monday and on Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday. And they used to get blind drunk, you know. And us as kids, I remember being like, does anybody's parents not? So if I went somewhere, parents didn't drink, I thought they were weird. I was like, well, they're a bit weird, aren't they? They don't drink like my mum and dad. My mum used to have homebrew then. They used to win with jug and all that, you know. So to me, drinking constantly would be a normal thing. But I don't actually, as it goes, but I do drink, but not like that. But if I came to you and I was totally open with you and I said, right, I feel like I'm getting where I'm drinking too much. My parents were functional alcoholics. We grew up with it. Does that help you any more than what if I just said, look, I'm just a bit worried about my drinking, but I don't want to tell you why?
Yeah, absolutely. Because we know that the drink is the symptom.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not the problem. It's a symptom of what? So we need to find out what the issue is. We don't need to find out what it is, but we need to identify who's running that program inside you so we can change it. Yeah. So you said it there. It's a learned behavior. It was normal in your household. So why would you think anything bad about it?
Yeah, that's it.
You know, it's just like when you teach little boys that when they push a girl because they like them, that's acceptable. No, it's not. You know, it's just the crazy things you sort of go, oh, he likes her because he shoved her, yeah, kind of thing. It's just doesn't marry up to what the true emotion should be. So when you've got somebody who's been around a lot, you know, grown up with people, with parents who drank a lot, then it is a learned behavior. But then we start saying, you know, but that's their behavior, not yours. Why should it be yours? You happen to be in that room, but who put you in that room? You were like, sit down, shut up, watch the telly, you know, so you had no control over it. So, you know, another big insight for me is that you are the expert on you, nobody else, because you're the only one who's up there 24/7. So even, you know, if you could have been with your husband 50 years, oh, my husband knows me really well. Yeah, he knows the part of you that you want him to know, but there's a whole heap of other stuff going on inside you that is you and only you know. And, you know, your girlfriends may have a little bit else or something else. Your children will have another bit of you, but nobody has you like you do up here. You are the expert on you. So when somebody's telling you, oh, you can't do that, or you shouldn't be doing that, or you're doing something wrong, whatever. No, you're doing something that is right for you. People give opinions based on their own experience. And their experiences are completely different to your experiences. So, you know, I get asked all the time, you know, especially with girlfriends, oh, what should I do about him? And I always say to them, if I was coming to you and telling you that, what would you tell me to do?
Yes. What would you tell yourself to do?
Yeah, but they won't. If I say, what would you tell you? They don't do it. And so I will try and phrase things in a way they think they're telling me. And that will tell them what their experience, what their expectations, what their desires want. And then you can say, there's your answer, you know. But some things are harder to get at because they've been programmed before our captain came on board. The jobs were dished out before he came on board or she came on board. And so, you know, he's desperately trying to regain control of your mind, and your crew are going, no, we're going this way. He's saying, I want to go over there. And they're going, no, we're going over here. And guess what? They're steering the ship. So that's where you're going. So we just try to get you and the crew and the captain on the same page, going in the right direction to give you the life you want.
So actually, hypnotherapy can work for just about anything, can't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, sometimes people come thinking it's something minor, but I don't want to say it opens a can of worms. It doesn't. It just opens up the opportunities of what else they could do.
Yeah.
You know,
so like any self-limiting beliefs you could conquer.
Oh, absolutely. Well, self-limiting beliefs have usually been put on you by someone else.
By somebody else.
You know, so we just need to tell that crew member, look, mate, this isn't, you know, this is somebody telling you what to do. And that was coming from their perspective, not from yours.
You see, we were always told as kids that, I mean, we grew up on council estate. I enjoyed it. That's one of my podcasts like this last week. I enjoyed it. It was fine. I don't have any regret about it, or, you know, but we were always told, and especially my dad, if anybody if you got a nice car or you had a big dream or anything, you were always told to not get above your station. Don't let's be getting above your station. You know, don't think you're a bit hoity-toity now, you know, just because you've got a decent job and just because you've this, or you go on a nice holiday. Ooh, who do they think they are? Look, coming round here. And I was like, yeah, but people have dreams, people work hard, they want to do it. And just because you don't, it doesn't mean that the rest of us shouldn't, you know?
Absolutely.
That were
Absolutely.
always to believe that we were always supposed to, you know, have that. If you come from council estate, you didn't dare go above and you didn't move out of it. You didn't go above your
Yeah.
station. And it's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah. I think one of the things that I think I have found with hypnotherapy, whether it's in trance or out of trance, especially because people have bought very much into it because they're witnessing it, is that they realize that the world is their oyster.
Yeah.
Because you remove the limiting beliefs or the part of themselves that's sabotaging themselves, or the imposter monster, you know, whatever. If you remove those, they're suddenly free. You know, so it's very empowering.
So if somebody said, "There's listening to this now," they're going, "Right, Lesley sounds right up my street. I bet she could help me with this problem I've got." Where are they going to find you, Lesley? Because I think everybody that has any sort of issue needs to come and find you immediately.
Okay, so I live in Wiltshire. I'm in between Swindon and Marlborough. But so I'm happy for anybody to come in person, but I do a lot of work on Zoom. So it doesn't matter where you are in the country or the world, even, because Zoom goes everywhere. We just literally set up on Zoom and you can contact me. I have a contact form on my webpage, on my website. So my website is mindandbodyfix.co.uk, all spelled out, no at sums or anything. It's mindandbodyfix.co.uk. Or they can literally send me an email if they want by putting help@mindandbodyfix.co.uk. Okay, so I'm more than happy, you know, for how anybody wants to contact me. On my website, it's got my phone numbers and everything, so you can call me as well, or text me, or WhatsApp me, whatever you want to do. So yeah, just get in contact me. There, like I said, there is a contact form on my webpage, and you can just put your details in there, mention that, you know, you heard about me from this, and I'll give them all a discount. So
I hope the discounts to be had, Lesley. We're on here.
No, because, you know, I want to help as many people as possible, and this does help me get this out there.
That's it. And I think the more people that know about it, that there is an alternative, they don't have to have, you know, go for another pill at the doctor's. I'm not anti-doctor or anything like that, and
No,
I don't think
me neither.
should ever stop taking vital medication or anything like that. But I do feel like there's a lot where we could help ourselves alternatively.
Absolutely.
Without adding another tablet in and another one of this, and and I'll just get another tablet. And I feel like that's all there is to offer sometimes. It's just some medications and we don't know what the issue is. So if there's more healers out there, there's alternative therapies out there, I feel like we should all at least try it a couple of times and just see what we could.
And like I said, it's going to cost them nothing to have a chat with me. I do a free consultation where they can ask whatever they want to, and we'll have a good chat just to see if we're the right blend, because I know that all energies don't necessarily work well together. But, you know, if you decide, I don't take it personally if you say, actually, this isn't for me, because I take it as it's not for me yet. Or they might go and look for someone else. I have no problem with that, as long as they get help, if that's what they want. So they have no obligation. There's no pressure. I will tell them at the end, you know, this is how I would see it going if you want to do this. And obviously each one will be different, but this is how I see it going. If you're interested, let me know. We can either book you in now or go away, think about it, and then come back to me when you're ready.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds amazing. Absolutely amazing. Do you know, Lesley, I've really enjoyed talking to you today.
Thank you. I've enjoyed it too.
Every day is a school day, isn't it?
It absolutely is. Absolutely. I love learning. Love learning.
What's next? What are you doing next? What's the next thing on Lesley's radar journey? What's going on?
I don't know. I don't know, because I want to do this more. I love my physical work. I love doing that, but I have got my mind onto the things I want to do in my life. And the good thing is with hypnotherapy and somewhat with the physical therapies, but I can move around the world. I can do it from anywhere. And that has been my dream, my vision board, you know, living somewhere warm all the time, not just those few days that we get here. But it will always involve this work, always, because it gives me joy. You know, I do believe happiness comes from within, but I think you can get a sense of joy from doing other, you know, things that are more tangible, you can see. So I love my work, so I always want to do it, but I also want to mix it in with the rest of my life and do some things that I want to do. But yeah, you won't ever hear me. I will always have a Zoom link with me.
Oh, that's lovely, Lesley. Thank you very much for joining me today.
Oh, thank you for having me. I've really enjoyed this.
And I
Really.
really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you again.
Bye.